commentator for Young Voices. Albert Eisenberg is my guest. You know, Albert, kitchen table issues obviously will be top of mind. I'm guessing there will be staying power, 9.1% inflation for the year, likely those numbers to continue for many more months. And God forbid, but hey, look, we might be in a recession if we're not in one already. So going into the fall, yeah, kitchen table issues will be top of mind for all these potential voters. But I wanted to ask you, what do you make of recent polling data? I think it was Gallup last week. They were making some noise about over 50%, like 53%, I believe, of potential voters saying they are looking forward to sending their very own congressperson back to D.C. Oh, but as far as everybody else in Congress, no, only 20% said, yeah, everybody else needs to go back. Their congressperson, yes, but everybody else, no. That doesn't say very much as far as the intelligence of the American voter.
Well, hey, Sergio, thanks for having me. There is a long-standing American history of liking your representative and hating everybody else.
Everybody else, yeah.
That number actually has gone down as far as the amount of people that want to send their representative back. But you got to remember, most people are living in safe R or safe D districts, so that number is actually pretty low. The more interesting recent polling that came out in the New York Times Siena poll yesterday is that for the first time ever, the rate of college-educated white people is more favorable to Democrats than all non-white voters combined. And that's because non-white voters, led by Hispanics, the largest group of those voters, are mostly working class, and they are feeling the pinch, to put it mildly, from the Biden administration.
Yeah, young, white, educated. As far as our college indoctrination and brainwashing, I mean, that's all it screams to me. Yeah, colleges, universities have done a good job of indoctrinating leftist thought to that white generation, whereas I'd like to think Latinos, Hispanics, they still are very much rooted to their traditional values from back home.
Traditional values and just the reality of the world. I mean, you look around at what the Biden administration has done, from Afghanistan to halting pipeline development in America, and it's really crushing people. So this is what happens when you have an administration steered by people who don't really live in reality and, like you said, are sort of indoctrinated in this college bubble, which I'm familiar with, which is mostly unfamiliar to most American voters who are not, and have not had the opportunity to pursue higher education. And it's probably a good thing for them, since the priorities of the upper echelon of higher educated people in America are really not the priorities of working people.
And in the entire Southwest, we deal with the immigration issue that is absent from top of the hour news day to day. The problem is still worse now than it's ever been before, and we're aware of it. The unfairness of this immigration system, how deadly it is for hundreds of people every single year. And from our perspective, Latino's perspective, at least from my perspective, I know many of my family and friends, we love our country. We love America. We love the shining city on the hill. We want to preserve it. My parents came here to give me a better life. I know for other people, their grandparents came here to give them a better life, and I'd like to preserve it for our children. And I think that perspective, especially for me, growing up in Mexico as a boy, I got to see poverty. I got to see misery. I got to see third world conditions just south of my border. And believe me, I see the difference. I know the difference in my family. And I think that perspective is missing for academics, for white, college educated, where they have no idea how good they have it in this country.
100%. And, that is why Republicans are making such inroads with Hispanic voters in your area, in South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, across Arizona, California, Nevada, and why the Democratic majority is going to be highly imperiled for years to come unless they revamp their party and don't just do what they claim to do, which is protect, working people's interests, but actually start doing that.
Safe R and Safe D, of the 435 seats in Congress, how many would you say are Safe R, Safe D? Or maybe you look at it from the other side. Maybe how many might oscillate, go back and forth?
Sure. So The redistricting experts, quote unquote, I think the number of quote unquote competitive districts, which is ones that have vacillated between Republicans and Democrats, maybe within 5 percentage points, is about 45 out of 435.
Wow,
And then you
10%.
have maybe 50 or so quote unquote swing districts aside from that. So maybe 300 or so out of 435 are really not going to be seeing much change. That being said, if Republicans can capture all of those, or if Democrats can in a wave year like 2018, you have a huge majority coming into 2023.
Yeah, but again, 24 months, a couple of years of work in D.C. They take over the House. Hopefully, oh, Lord Jesus, please give us the Senate as well. What can Republicans do to show the American people you did the right thing? Because you could either show up, be a backstop, get nothing done, which I know a lot of these squishy, politically minded people in the middle say, "Oh, I don't like that. I want government to do something good for me," or because they're not going to pass anything. It's like the only thing that's going to be is a backstop. I mean, what do you see them doing? Anything else productive the next couple of years?
It's hard to know.
Yeah,
it's certainly hard to know, and it's going to rely on what Joe Biden's administration decides to do with his last 2 years. Almost certainly his last 2 years in office. So, Joe Biden himself is sort of a let's make a deal type person. I don't know that he is in charge. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's not in charge. So will the better angels or the more politically aware angels of his administration allow him to actually meet with Republicans who will be in the majority and find some solutions on American energy development, on rising crime, on securing the border, or will we have 2 more years of gridlock? I don't think people can wait.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking the complicit media on the left. I'm just, it's jaw-dropping amazing how all these leftist writers, they're not introspective enough to examine the condition of the executive branch and do a full write-up and maybe a panel discussion on who's running the government up in D.C. We know it ain't Joe Biden. So who's really behind the scenes that's running everything? I'd love to see that conversation. From Young Voices is Albert Eisenberg. Albert, before I let you go, hey, tell folks about the media, the nonprofit, you co-founded this media platform. Tell them what it is and how do folks find it? What do you do?
Sure. Thanks for asking, Sergio. Broad and Liberty at broadandliberty.com is a Philadelphia-based nonprofit media outlet. So we're focused on regional and urban news from a right-leaning, libertarian, open-minded perspective. There's obviously a lot of conservative national news, and talk radio is a big one of those outlets, but there's not that much that's local. So I wanted to be part of the change and found a new outlet that's nonprofit, that relies on donors and readers, where people can get information of what's happening in Philadelphia and the important swing state of Pennsylvania from a different perspective.
Okay, more power to you. Again, give me the website one more time, the Broad and Liberty website.
broadandliberty.com. You can find us on social media at Broad and Liberty, spell the and.
Thank you, Albert. Albert Eisenberg from Young Voices.